Ladies and gentlemen, it's currently May 6th, 2024. And another massive cheating or anti-cheating story has hit the world of chess. Since September 4th of 2022, when Hans Niemann played Magnus Carlsen at a tournament in St. Louis, cheating has been all the rage and everything to discuss on the 64 squares. And over the last couple of days, an insane story broke of a Grandmaster account that was banned for fair play on chess.com. I made a video about it. Some of you might have seen it. If you haven't, I'll put it in the description. This is an update video because that account, which belonged at the time to an anonymous Grandmaster, that anonymous Grandmaster has come forward, told us his identity, gave us a massive life story, and told us that he did not cheat. I don't even know where to begin. We're going to look at this Reddit post. Then we're going to look at some games. This is going to be a really, really juicy story. So, this is the post. It's me, Viso. Now, who is Viso? This happened 4 days ago. Who is Viso? 3100 rated anonymous Grandmaster who is sacrificing an exchange on move 3 every game and is currently beating Daniel Naroditsky in Blitz. This is Viso, an account that was created several years ago that actually had played Naroditsky many times. This account had played Naroditsky hundreds of times. And it played Naroditsky in a very long Blitz match on May 2nd in the early hours of the morning here in New York City time, and ultimately was banned in the middle of a game. Nobody knew who it was. And now we do. We are going to read this, and then we are going to go through some games, some analysis, some absolutely insane updates. It's me. Hello, people of Reddit. This is going to be a long, comprehensive post, so forgive me in advance, but I think it's crucial I don't leave out any information, so here goes. To catch everyone up to speed, the other day I seem to have shaken up the chess world after defeating Daniel Naroditsky and other players, by the way. He beat other players in a long Blitz match on chess.com with my anonymous chess.com account, starting every game with a4 and rook a3. Giving up an exchange on the second move of the game. Speculations about who it was started, spinning. Is it Magnus, Hikaru, a young Indian prodigy, a Brazilian Grandmaster? Is it Stockfish? Well, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Swifties rejoice. And please don't copyright strike me. GM Brandon Jacobson, but you can call me Brandon. I don't know what we would have called. Like, did he expect us to call him his full name? Like GM Brandon Jacobson? So it's this guy. This is Brandon Jacobson. I know Brandon Jacobson. I've played Brandon Jacobson many times over the board, and his brother as well, Aaron Jacobson. They grew up here on the East Coast, where I am in the United States. When Brandon was young, I would beat him all the time, and then he got older, and he started beating me, both physically and on the board. And he has a very funny thing here that says, Vladimir Kramnik, please notice me. His last Blitz games were played in February. Okay, so, wow, what? First of all, there is no evidence this is actually Brandon. I don't think he posted a picture. I'm not trying to discredit this. I'm just saying I read this and the first thing I thought of was, couldn't anybody theoretically make this post? But I'm assuming he submitted some sort of proof. Okay, before I get into what happened, I would like to share a little bit about myself. Part 1, who am I? Ever since learning the game at the age of 5 and wanting to imitate my older brother, this is going to be a long read, so buckle up. Who learned from an after-school program. You can put the phone down or just put me up on the smart TV. Maybe I'll read it in a very dramatic narrator voice. I've always been fascinated with chess. Being an extremely intuitive person and an overthinker combined with being extremely competitive, I've always found my purpose and comfort in chess. Coming from a family who didn't even know the rules, as early as I can remember, being around 8 years old, I would compile notebooks upon notebooks of openings. I would attempt to teach myself using my Houdini program, which I was enamored with. Playing at my local club every weekend was the highlight of my week, nerd. Slowly, I kept improving and improving, and throughout the years, I would be inspired time and time again by reading the classics, for example, My System. Oh my God, what a nerdy 8-year-old child. You can't even pay me money to read that book now. He needed this. This is what Brandon needed, by the way, back in the day. Didn't exist. Modernized chess book right here. During difficult times in my childhood, chess would always be my escape. Me too. High five for family trauma. Sometimes with endless room to learn and become better at. I can vividly remember I'm skipping a little bit, being 10 years old, and I attended a U.S. school camp graciously run by Greg Shahade, giving talented American kids an opportunity for a few days of free training. I was by far the youngest and lower-rated players. There were FMs and IMs, and in the end, he took an intuition test, and he had the highest score of realizing what it took. Fast forward, he was invited to the Kasparov Chess Foundation program, which gives American young talents an opportunity to meet and work with Garry Kasparov, for Garry to tell you that you're trash, and convince you to go into politics. And also, this is where he met Andrew Hong. Andrew Hong is an important member of this story. He comes up later. I lost to Andrew Hong and to Brandon as they were trying to become grandmasters, by the way. So fun fact about me, I'm worse than both of them at chess. But I recently beat Andrew Hong in a game, so I'm actually better than him. So Kasparov noticed he had good understanding, but he fooled around a lot. He caused problems, and Kasparov had talked to his mom, telling her he was very talented but lazy. He's gonna have to start working hard. Brandon didn't take the advice. He had fun as a teenager, and he's unstoppable when he's in form, but he tilts a lot as well. He played a tournament once where he had an IV stuck in him the night before, but he ended the tournament with a 2700 performance. So he's always been kind of a good and talented player. I remember when Brandon was younger, I would, I mean, I'm assuming this is Brandon and not like some random person. I would play him. I was always pretty confident because I had a feeling he would get into his head when playing me. Imagine that. But now he's like much stronger. Now I get into my head playing him. So he played a lot of online blitz. It was a big confidence boost for him. And finally, this past fall, he took the decision to take time off school, give himself a fair shot at making it to the top. During the time, he played a lot of blitz online. He's been 3100 for multiple stretches. But every time he ran into Hikaru or Naroditsky, he would have awful results against them. But then this paragraph is about having a nice tournament in 2013. He won a nice tournament in Europe. And he, you know, he wasn't happy because his losses are self-inflicted with nerve issues, like me. And he came home and he started, you know, getting his head together. He played fully focused. He defeated Parham Maksudlu. He had a decent match against Hikaru. So he made a lot of progress, he claims, as a chess player. And yeah, Hikaru complimented him. He faced some health issues, which until now he hadn't opened up about publicly. He had burnout. And during this difficult time, he continued to work hard, but didn't play a lot. Okay, so in the step to recovery, he met Andrew Hong again. Like they met up, him and his friend from earlier. And Andrew Hong showed him this ridiculous opening that he was playing, which is A4, Rook A3. Now, what's funny is that this is the opening. So apparently Andrew Hong, who's got an anonymous account named Pasta on Twitch, I am not revealing that, he literally brings it up later. His friend Andrew Hong did apparently a lot of analysis on this really idiotic opening, A4, Rook A3, which browser-based Stockfish thinks is minus 2.4, and Stockfish at a higher depth thinks is basically completely lost. So essentially his friend Andrew Hong did some, you know, ridiculous analysis on this opening and showed that it's bad. That it's bad, but it's not hopeless. That's basically the story. This is the story. So his friend showed him this, then he started playing games, and then he played against Wifafafafafaf, because that's how I pronounce that name, W-F-A-F-A-F-A, whatever. And there it is, right? Here's a bunch of games that Andrew Hong plays where he gives up the rook, he puts his queen in the corner, he develops double fianchetto, and, you know, black plays principled, plays in the center, and generally what will happen is black tries to overextend, tries to win, suddenly white is counterattacking, and Andrew Hong now is not even worse, despite giving up a rook on the second move, which is kind of ridiculous. And then, you know, Andrew just very calmly just beats a 2800 player. You can't take because I take your rook. So, you know, basically the point of this post is to say his friend plays this completely ridiculous system. He told me to play it, and I was sort of recovering from burnout and all these different things, and my friend showed me this really stupid system, and wouldn't shut up about it. So they played a bunch of games against each other. He wasn't able to beat him. So he joined Team Rook Odds. It's not quite Rook Odds, but it's, you know, it's bad, right? It's obviously, it's exchange odds. Okay. Here we go. I created my anonymous account, Viso, many years ago, inspired by an inside joke I had with Brazilian friends at the time, as a way to fool around. Okay. Somebody told me that Viso is, like, this is a meme. We had Brazilians in the comment section of the last video talking about why this username would be this username. So his rating dropped a bunch on the main account due to playing, he was trying to keep his heart rate down, and it was unsuccessful. He was just trying to be more serious. I decided to play a few games here and there, avoid the pressure of potential cheating accusations due to the difference in level. Okay. So he said his rating dropped on his main account. So he said the rating dropped on his main account. Dropped a bunch on my main account due to trying to play while mitigating some of my focus in an unsuccessful... Okay. So the reality of modern chess is if you're not 2700, being accused by everyone to your face and behind your back every time a good result is achieved. I've even had one prominent, well-respected grandmaster write an entire article praising my talent as a teenager, only to accuse me of cheating behind my back. Okay. We will never know who that is. Finally, he dove in on April 30th. He played a bunch of warm-up games, having zero expectations, complete shock. He was crushing people. So it soon started to click that I was barely giving any odds at all. He was winning games left and right with similar themes and tricks, although playing totally unsound throughout the whole game, according to Stockfish, having opponents eventually collapse under the pressure. Soon enough, I get paired with Daniel Naroditsky. Sure, I gained confidence and was back to my peak form, but how could I possibly get away with such utter stupidity against Danya? Yeah, and so basically he says there was no pressure. He was anonymous. They played 70 games. And with so many creative ideas from the both of us, double exchange sacrifice, later turned to be +7 for white, but with outposts for my pieces, so he links this game. Yeah, I mean, basically, these are the kind of games that they were creating where, you know, Danya had 2 rooks versus bishop and knight. His king was getting hunted into the center of the board, and he was defending himself, and, you know, it led to some completely insane battles. It led to many mistakes, and then ultimately Danya lost. So this is kind of the thing that he's saying. They had a lot of games, and he also mentions me. I analyzed one of the games. So he won 40-29. And he was annoyed. He says Danya was annoyed and flabbergasted. And he won. And then things started going viral on Reddit. So he could not believe what he was seeing next. He was forced to resign by the live server. He was kicked out of live chess. And soon after, he received the response the next day saying he was banned for a fair play violation with no explanation. His jaw dropped. He could not believe what was happening. Anxiety turned to anger. Quickly submitted an appeal, which they haven't responded to. Had I really played so well, the algorithm flagged me for cheating. I got my ego in check when I went through the games. The games were not all great. They had mistakes. And then frustration ensued. Is the only way someone could beat Naroditsky in a match 2750+. You have to be a cheater. He's one of the best bliss players in the world. Hikaru in his stream earlier said that it would have been Wesley So. But Brandon once beat Wesley So 9 games in a row. On Wesley's anonymous account at the time, Dogs of War. It's now no longer, right? People speculated it could be an Indian prodigy. And he also said his friend beat Hikaru as well. He said that his friend, Andrew Hong, the next day, they played an arena on chess.com. And Andrew Hong also managed to beat Hikaru. Look at this. Hikaru played very solidly. And he, you know, played principal chess. And then it got kind of complicated. Hikaru was doing very well for a while, attacking white, and then somehow, like, the game turned around, and suddenly Andrew Hong was, like, no longer completely lost. He was defending himself, and this was the game, and slowly but surely, after a long fight, like, white was completely winning. Hikaru blundered, and white was winning, and Andrew Hong went on to beat Hikaru from this same system. And basically, the argument is, well, look, Andrew Hong did, managed to beat Hikaru, and I beat Naroditsky. And yeah, I mean, this was complete domination from Andrew Hong. He had a nice game. Hikaru tried to create some tricks, but it wasn't enough. And he lost. And that is the point. He's basically saying, well, my friend beat Hikaru in the same way. He then talks about other people getting, accusations, and the chess world is the only place where it's socially acceptable for grown men to continuously attack teenagers and attempt to ruin their careers by being upset over losing a game, and nobody does anything about it. I would assume Chess.com staff simply seen Brandon Jacobson beating Danya with rook odds, no way, and hit the ban button, and then would expect radio silence. That would explain radio silence. Who knows? Guess we never will. What's funny is Danya himself plays pet lines, like a bunch of different King's Indians. Tired of it all, tired of being blah, 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 blah. For some final remarks, if you don't believe a word I've written, who would be stupid enough to cheat against Naroditsky and risk their reputation? I would decide to stay anonymous forever had I truly been a cheater, but I'm sharing my story publicly without care how this may damage my reputation. The truth always prevails in the end. Not always. Not in this case, I just mean in general. Like, I don't think the truth always prevails. I mean, people go to jail for things they didn't do, right? But anyway, it sounds nice in theory. I apologize again for the length of this post, and so on and so forth. I actually commented on this, and he responded to me and was like, he asked to be in this video. Maybe I'll invite him for a follow-up. We'll see how long this story goes. So, long story short, Brandon Jacobson is this account and was taught by this guy how to play this opening, and apparently it's not as stupid as it looks, and he beat Danya 40-29 in a match. Now, what's crazy about Mr. Brandon Jacobson is he didn't just beat Danya, he actually beat a lot of people. He had a match where he played Dariusz Świercz. Dariusz Świercz is one of the best grandmasters in the United States right now, originally from Poland. And here's a game that's very similar setup. I mean, White basically plays the same way, like every single time. Look at this Hikaru game, right? Like, look at this. Same setup. Right, same setup. Pretty similar setup. Here's the game against Whiff Waff 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 Waff. Same setup. Look, the setup is, you know, I mean, it's pretty consistent. And, yeah, in this game, like, White was completely lost. I mean, he played this stupid opening. Dariusz was playing very well. And then suddenly, White got some sort of counterattack brewing. And Dariusz kind of closed the position. And it got very tactical. And suddenly, there's a lot of threats. And everything is hanging. And then all of a sudden, you know, Dariusz is potentially not any better anymore. And it was a very complicated game. It was a huge battle. But Dariusz lost on time. Like, the game was close. It was very tense, right? And suddenly, Dariusz just spent a bunch of time on, like, every single move. And White barely thought at all. So, like, I mean, White spent 4 seconds, 3, 6, 3, 3, 5, you know, and just completely outplayed the opponent. And won. And all of a sudden, Dariusz is down, you know, like this. And he ended up losing on time. And I think he beat Dariusz 16-4 using this system. And then he played another guy even before that, and he was doing the same thing. And I mean, with White or with Black, he was doing the exact same setup every single time. And yeah, he was just like, it was all these games were long battles, and he was just outplaying his opponents in the long run. Like, he was losing. I mean, Brandon was losing in some of these games, as you can see here, but then his opponents would just blunder under the pressure somehow. Like, White is completely winning, and then, you know, he would, like, mate them out of nowhere, right? And yeah, he got lucky in a few games, and some games he just totally outplayed people. So, oh my God, where do I even begin? So, in cases like this, right, we all remember the Hans Niemann report. We remember in 2022, I just want to show this one last thing. There was the Hans Niemann report, all right? This was the month after the Magnus Hans thing, and there was a Wall Street Journal article, and basically they published like a 70-page report about Hans, about cheating, about how they think that he's done it more than they said that he said, etc. Now, here's the thing. We have a case now where Chess.com is saying Brandon Jacobson cheated. Now, what they're not saying is that Brandon Jacobson cheated. Okay, just hear me out for a second. They never said publicly that Brandon Jacobson cheated. This account was banned. This account, the anonymous one. Brandon himself is being brave, let's say, and coming out and saying, I did not cheat. That's my anonymous account. Giving us this whole story. And now here we are. So this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. To me, the way I like to look at situations like this, where I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. And I actually spoke to Daniel Naroditsky. I called him. I tried to do my best journalist impression. I'm not a journalist, all right? I'm a YouTuber, but I try to be unbiased. I try to be fair to everybody. I I called him and I spoke to him. He has no idea what the hell hit him. I mean, that's sort of like the summary. He told me he was playing the match and he was like bewildered. He had like no idea what was happening, how he was losing these positions that he was getting, like winning positions. And he's like, dude, your guess is as good as mine. But what he did say, and what he was very adamant about, he was, and we, if you watch Danya, you know he's a good guy, and he's not a BSer. He told me, and he was okay with me sharing, like, he had nothing to do with the ban. Like, Neraditsky can't lose blitz games to someone and go, hey, chess.com, ban this person. That's not how any of that works. Remember my whole thing with Indonesia? If you guys don't know, the Dewak Kipas thing, where I was basically accused of, like, being mad, a guy beat me, and then that's not what happens. That's not how it works. What happened in this case is that the chess.com fair play team were like, there was cheating going on in those games. The algorithm, human review, they would not ban on a whim. It's a grandmaster. Like, it's a grandmaster, you know? And it's a really big deal to ban a grandmaster. But here comes Brandon with this story. All the backstory of his life and learning the system. And now I'm just like, what the heck? What is going on? So the way I like to look at these situations, this crazy, post by Brandon, which I'm assuming is Brandon. Here's how I like to look at this. I enjoy these little thought experiments. I'm gonna leave you with this, and then I'm gonna go about my merry way. One of two realities is happening. One of two realities. Same as with the Hans stuff, right? Either there's cheating or going on, or there's not. Same thing in this case. Either this entire post is 100% true. 100%. He didn't lie about anything. He absolutely did not cheat. And in that reality, chess.com banned him unfairly, right? They're wrong. They're wrong. On the other hand, he cheated. Maybe not in every game, maybe at certain moments, but he cheated. And they claim they have the statistical proof to back that up, and he's lying in his post. So both of these situations are kind of nuts. Because as you can, that's it. There's nothing else. There is literally no other reality where it's possible. Unless he's like account sharing, but fair play doesn't fall under that. Like if he shared his, like if he said, hey, Magnus, go on my account and play Danya, and right, I don't know. Like, I don't know. None of us really know what you get banned for. But those are the two realities. And both of them are kind of crazy, because if chess.com is wrong, like let's say in one of these two realities, that's kind of nuts, because then, and they say themselves, they have like a small false positive rate. They put out fair play reports and they talk about like, they ban 1 million accounts like a month. I mean, it's kind of nuts, the robust nature of all of this. But there's also a lot of private conversations that happen behind the scenes between title players and chess.com, and I'm not privy to them because I don't work at or for chess.com. Yeah, that is the reality. Maybe I will talk to Brandon. Maybe I will invite him, assuming that he posted that. But this is a wild story, absolutely wild story. And the reason I showed you the Hans Niemann report is we are now living in a time where a person can get banned by chess.com for cheating, high profile, title player, and whether they cheated or not can go public. And is chess.com going to publish a Brandon Jacobson report? Is chess.com going to publish no report? Are they just going to be like, we stand by our actions? And if Brandon wants to investigate, like what's going to happen? That's the fascinating thing. I don't think they're going to publish a Brandon Jacobson report, like if they have one. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to publish all the statistical evidence that they use to make this ban. I just don't think that's what they're going to do. In which case, people, whether guilty or innocent, can just make posts and say that was unfair. And yeah, we live in a wild time. And I mean, I don't know if there's an easy solution for cheating in online chess. I really don't know, or not, or the lack of, or the suspicion. It's, you know what we got to do now? I'm going to leave this food for thought. Danya, Brandon Jacobson, in-person cash prize match Brandon has to play that opening every single time. How about that? I'm already doing Clash of Claims in Spain in June. Jose Martinez versus Vladimir Kramnik. Daniel Naroditsky, Brandon Jacobson. Let's do it in Los Angeles, New York. In-person match. They got to play this opening. We'll see what's what. How about that? Anyway, that's a big update. And I'm going to go read more updates when they drop. Get out of here.